Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/HomeandPodcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Thanks, Audible, and let's get into the episode.
Lion just recovered a fumble.
Bits of wisdom.
It's Harry Houdini, I'm pretty sure.
That's when it kind of becomes Home Improvement After Dark.
I guess that leaves us at the question of the week.
Very good. I don't know if you noticed, Jordan, but a really cool aerial shot of the table. Reasonably funny.
User review.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Home and podcast time.
That's right. Binford Tools is proud to present a Home Improvement Podcast. My name is Adam, and you all know my co-host, Jordan, my little deuce coupe Lions.
I thought several things were going to come into play. The preemptive strike, the Stonewall Jackson, what did we just say?
We were talking a lot about
Sweater?
NBA.
The Weezer?
Yeah.
The Weezer?
It's starting this episode.
There's been a few false starts.
It's been a chore to start this episode. It won't be a chore now that we're in it, though. The hardest part is getting started.
That's a funny project.
A exercise routine, a diet, writing a screenplay. Jordan, getting started is the hardest part, but we've done that, and here we are today discussing an episode, the finale of Season 3, and that's called The Great Race 2. And then we're going to talk about Season 3 in summation, so we're going to give our final thoughts.
The Great Race I.
Yeah, well, I think it might have been. Yeah, either way. If you ask him, that's what he'd say. Mm-hmm. We don't want to spend a lot of time here at the top of the show.
No, we got a recap to go through later, so.
But I will.
We know everyone's time is valuable, especially ours.
The most valuable, I would argue. Jordan, I should ask, though, how are you today?
Well, I should answer that I'm doing pretty well. How are you, Adam?
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm doing well. Back teaching this week. A little busier. There's I'm looking out at a snow-covered landscape here in northern Illinois. But things are going well. Happy to be here today with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was I think it was 29 yesterday when I woke up here in sunny Florida.
And that is unheard of in the Sunshine State.
Woo!
Am I right?
Man, every single Snapchat I viewed from people in Florida was like, oh my gosh, 29. And it was like the car.
Temperature.
Temperature. And it was,
it'd be cool if your odometer showed you the temperature, but I don't know that they do that.
Maybe it does.
Yeah, all right.
Maybe not your type of car, but my type of car.
Yeah, my 2017 car doesn't do that. Let's roll into the episode.
It's got to be 2018 only.
Great Race 2. Jordan, give me some information on that.
You want some information?
All right.
Love it. There was a Great Race 1. I don't know if you remember that.
Was that the season 2 finale, correct?
I think so.
Correctamundo.
Yeah. We've tried to forget it. But this one was written by John Vandergriff, and he last wrote Room for Change when, Brad wanted his own room and Mark, for some reason, had his own room. that one?
Yeah.
This one aired May 25th, 1994. And there are no plot keywords or anything like that. So I guess we just can hop right into our alternative titles.
Yeah. So I always say this. Sometimes I mean it, sometimes I don't. I sincerely had a difficult time with this one. And not even I was able to come up with a lot of bad titles. Rarely these days do I have to take to Google and search keywords, try to come up with things, but I had to do that, and I still really couldn't come up with anything satisfactory. You don't feel that way. You seem to have some good ones.
I think it's middling. Mine are middling.
Well, history will be the judge of that, Jordan. Let's let history decide.
All right, how many do you have?
I've come up with 5. They're bad.
Okay, well, I have 3. So.
Okay. All right.
So I guess you'll have to go first.
Okay. All right. Some of these barely count. Oh, man. All right. So first one is going to be, do you believe in Tim's hot rod? Yep.
How'd you come up with that? That's what I want to know.
I Googled songs that have believe in the title or the chorus, and that was what I got.
All right, first one I have is Hot Rod Stinkin'.
I think we've done that, because I almost did that one. I really sincerely think that I have done that
Well,
before.
then guess what? I only have 2 alternative titles.
Fair enough. All right, because that was something that I toy around with. All right.
When I wrote it down, I thought, man, this sounds familiar, but I can't. Also, I couldn't think of that many decent ones, so I was just gonna see if I could skate by. But
Sure. All right. My next one. Man, I wrote so poorly. Okay. Here we go. Heroes and villains.
that one's not too bad.
All right. Thanks. That was actually the first one I came up with.
Okay. My second one is the humble seat.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good. All right. My next one is. All right. The Race 2.
What?
I'm just taking out the great. There's nothing great about it. The Race 2. I told you they weren't good.
All right. How many more do you have? 3, 2?
It's hard to tell. If I can read my handwriting, I have 2, but I'm struggling
All
to
right.
do
Well,
so.
do one more because I only got one left. I won't let you end on 2 straight.
My fourth stellar title here is When Bob Makes You Sob. Yeah.
All right. My last one is Tim's bitter BIDDER pill to swallow.
Yeah, you had it going this week. My last one is even. I wish I didn't even write it. Okay, it's a play on Bob Vila's show. It's just Bob Vila's here again. I really sincerely, I struggled, and my alternative titles serve as evidence of
Adam,
that.
you know what? I really appreciate your effort.
Yeah.
Just giving it a shot.
Hey, Jordan, let's
So.
let history be the judge of this, okay?
Let's. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything good or bad.
Terrible.
I enjoy my time with you. So let's move on to the plot synopsis.
Let's do it.
All right. We don't have Skagary66 this time. We've got your old friend Bernie.
Mm-hmm.
Tim holds a Toolman auction on Tool Time to help raise for Jill's fundraiser for the library. Bob Vila guest stars and raises more money. Tim challenges Bob to a hot rod race.
That is, hey, it's bare bones, but it covers everything.
Bernie Barebones.
That's what he should have made his username. All right. Anything else?
No, let's get into it.
Let's do it. All right. I'll open. We're home on Home Improvement. How fitting. The logo. They're doing a lot with like bare arms and body
Legs.
parts. Kind of scary. He's kind of doing an exorcist sort of spider walk. He's like scurrying up. He jumps on the camera, or jumps on the screen presumably, and just kind of hangs there. I thought, is this a Halloween episode?
And it wasn't. I'm frankly shocked that you actually noticed it. I thought you probably could have missed this based on all the other times you missed it.
No,
But
for whatever reason, I was able to see it this time, and
it's terrifying.
I wished I hadn't.
So you will agree with me that the arms and legs are kind of creepy.
Yeah, they're gross. It's like claymation almost, or I guess it's not claymation.
It's like fuzzy animation. It's weird. I
Yeah,
don't like
it looks weird. It's for whatever reason, it almost looks more realistic than I would like it to, and yet it also looks low budget at the same time.
It's
If
terrifying.
that tracks at all.
You know what else is terrifying? The fact that Jill hasn't reached the fundraising goal yet. She's a grand short.
Well, Jordan, with ideas like the no dinner, can we really be surprised that Jill has not reached her goal for the Detroit Public Library? I don't think I knew that it was for the Detroit
Yeah, we didn't know
Public
what library it was.
It's pretty big time.
It is pretty big time, and I'm so sick of hearing about this fundraiser. So, at this point, she says she needs $1,000. I will write $1,000 check if she wants, just so she will never talk about it again.
Tim's had his hot rod arc for a couple seasons, and Jill's had her library fundraising arc this season, and both have been equally enjoyable.
And they're all going to come to fruition right now.
Amen. Tim is wearing a cool Piston shirt, I noticed. I like the shirt. Essentially, they are just kind of conversing. Eventually, Tim suggests that in order to raise the final G, that they auction off.
They're going to raise a gangster?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
They're going to raise. She already raised 3 gangsters. Well,
That's true.
2.
Okay.
Mark's not one, but they're trying to raise $1,000, and Tim suggests an auction. I guess he just wants to auction off himself, and he suspects that he is going to fetch $1,000, which I thought was both presumptuous and arrogant.
But Jill thinks Al is going to be the one that brings in the money. And they don't even auction off Al.
They don't even auction off Al. Yeah, they should have. They would have definitely... Well, we'll get to what happens at the auction.
I wish they would have auctioned off Al, and he would have made more money than, the two of them combined.
Yeah, like Greta Post comes back, and she's like, $50,000.
And then Eileen shows up and she's like, $500,000.
Yeah.
I'd like that. But nope, it doesn't happen.
Right.
So, but that's the opening scene.
Yeah, it's
Short, succinct, sets up the episode.
Yeah, it is laying the foundation for what is to be built.
It's a rocky foundation.
Amen. All right, next scene.
Built on sand. We're on Tool Time. It's it's auction time already. So
more like they should change the title from Tool Time to Auction Time.
Tim brings out Jill. She's kind of nervous. This is her first time ever being an auctioneer. And then Al has a surprise guest in the audience, Bob Vila. Just sitting down in the audience, No one really noticed him.
It's absurd. First, I'd like to say, Jill's wearing just a terrible outfit. I mean, it could not be any worse. I don't think a look like this would have ever been fashionable. It's as if she's trying to dress like a librarian herself. So watch the episode, check out this outfit, and let me know what you think, folks. But yeah, Vila's just hanging out. There's maybe, how many people are in that studio audience, do you think? 30?
Yeah, less than
So
30.
there's 30 people in there. Vila's like third row, and for whatever reason or somehow Tim has not noticed Vila in the audience. So it's a big surprise when Al brings him down. I thought that was kind of silly. But
So, terrible dress aside, Jill is excited. Tim is not excited to see Bob Vila. He doesn't care that he's, his wife's going to stop fundraising forever after this. But Bob showed up. Why is he in town? There was a custom hot rod show or a custom car show at Cobo Expo Hall or wherever. And he had his expert-built car over there, so apparently he didn't build his own, but Tim says that he did. Vila burns him and says, well, the difference is mine runs.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Bob is real feisty in this episode.
Yeah, he's definitely more confrontational than he has been in the past.
Yeah, he's ready to throw down
and you know
fisticuffs.
As an actor, Vila is ready to take on this kind of additional responsibilities. He really carries the torch in this one.
Yeah, he certainly steps up to the plate.
A lot of good facial acting in this one. A lot of faces being made. Much like me when we're recording. I know you can't see my face.
Unfortunately, we can't see him. But,
unfortunately.
So they start the auction with Bob, and Jill jumps into her little auctioneer act. And
they play it up like Tim says, forgive my wife, she's never done this before. And then she steps up to the mic and she slays.
She slays. She bangs the gavel. She's ready to go. There's some bidding, starts at 100, it jumps to 300, jumps to 700, and then I thought it could have fetched for more, but she was pretty quick.
Yeah, it was
to
weird.
Just bang the gavel.
Yeah, that was strange. For whatever reason, when it hit 700, she was very, very ready to move forward. Yeah, I think they could have milked it for more.
Yeah, she was just so excited.
Logistically, what are they getting here? Is he gonna I mean, it's not the only time you ever see this on TV shows is they're auctioning off dates. So is it are they hanging out with Bob Vila? Is Bob Vila going to come and fix things? What exactly is happening
I think it's hanging out with Bob Vila because at the start they say they're just going to come hang out. Really, they don't make any indications that he's going to fix stuff. It would just be some time with Bob. Take home Bob.
Why does this dude want to spend $700 hanging out with Bob Vila though?
He's got some things he needs fixed.
But you just said he can't fix them.
He might give advice.
Okay.
He'd say, well, what should be done here? And he's gonna take notes, diligent notes.
Okay. Also, I like
just
how
like you.
The auction goes from 200 to 700. You probably could have got Vila for 3.
Tensions were running high in that moment. Everyone was just so excited. I don't blame them.
Have you ever been to an auction?
I can't say I have. Have you?
No. The short answer is no. In the movie that I'm an extra in that comes out next year, I was a bidder in an auction scene.
Oh, that's right.
So, not allowed to say much more, unfortunately. But
he's been sworn to secrecy. Everyone,
but it's a.
Don't you dare write in to ask him what it's about.
It's a major Hollywood film, and I am in an auction scene. So, unless they cut it out, and then I'm not. So, in short, I have some experience in fictitious auctioning, much like this, but no real auctioning.
Well, someday. That's kind of a dream of yours. It's always been on your bucket list.
Well, I was either going to be a teacher or an auctioneer when I grew up, and for whatever reason, I chose teacher. Big mistake.
Yeah, huge mistake. All right, so it's Tim's turn to step up to the plate here. He steps up. I guess they have like a box or whatever to put them on and showcase. And Tim is a little bit more active up on this box. He's like dancing and swaggering about. The bidding starts at 100, so somebody does bid, but then it just kind of sticks there for a little bit. And Tim lies and says he saw someone put their hand up for 200, and then eventually Jill bids 300. So she pays $300 to, I guess, end this fundraising in her life.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. It seemed kind of strange. Like, if I'm Jill, I would rather just have someone else pay $100 and then
pay $200.
Yeah, pay $200. But yeah, whatever.
But it's her auction, and she'll bid if she wants to.
Indeed, and that is one of the fine lines from this episode, The Great Race 2.
Man, John Vandergriff. All right.
We cut to the homestead, Jordan.
Yeah, boys are watching only what I can assume is MTV.
And this was cultural commentary, Jordan, because at the time, children were watching TV, and they didn't care about anything else in the world. When you put on a television, you put your kids in front of it,
they become zombies.
Sayonara to the brainwaves. They walk in, and Jill's trying to talk to them, and they're just all watching TV. Randy, who is, he's kind of a this episode. He's goading his mother about kind of what happened. He figures out that Vila got more money than his father, and Tim comes in and they kind of confront him on that. And Tim, he's upset about it. He kind of expresses a sentiment that I've been thinking as well. Just Vila always wins, and Tim can't do anything about it. Tim's a loser, and Vila's a winner.
That's very sad.
Mm-hmm, yeah, at least in the context of like racing things, I would say.
Yeah, and he is much more frustrated than he's ever been. Like he's hit the breaking point. I don't know why. I don't know why this episode is the breaking point, but he's just had it up to here.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the last time we're going to see Bob Vila, so I suspect. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? There's going to be a great race like 8.
I wonder how far. I worry that it goes beyond this, but.
It is very worrying. All right, so we move on to the empty tool set, and I guess this is pre-show, after-show, whatever. Al and Bob came back from a ride in the hot rod. Tim is still very salty, and Bob, he's chilling, he's relaxing. He sits down in the chair, he puts his leg up.
Bob has been there one too many times. Like we see Bob too much at this point.
He's starting to be cocky, and basically it comes up that it's time to race the hot rods, and they decide to tape it for the show. They're going to meet at some abandoned airfield, I believe.
This was absurd. I wrote down the dialogue exactly as it is. We're going to meet at that old military airport on I-94. Oh, yeah. Bob Vila, who's not from Detroit, is like, yeah, I know the old military airport from off of I-94.
Don't we all?
Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy.
Bob is so weird.
Bob is, he's a weird guy.
There's some trash talk. There's some flicking.
Their interactions are awkward and strange. But, the race, the date has been set, and now all Tim can do is make some last-minute adjustments.
Unfortunately,
I have some good news. This is the last appearance of Bob Vila on the show.
Oh man, what will we do without Bob? What about Bob?
I'm sure they'll replace it with someone else that is equally as proficient in acting. No, we'll have to. Another note I wanted to discuss here is I happen to know Bob Vila's net worth. Would you like to guess what it is? And this is an estimate according to celebrityriches.com, but Bob Vila's net worth, what do you think?
$12 million.
$25 million.
I almost said 25 to begin with.
Well, then why didn't you?
Dang it.
And it's
I didn't think he was worth it.
It's all from these appearances. He got paid $8 million on Home Improvement episode.
What?
No, I'm just joking. No.
Oh, boy.
No. All right.
I was going to say, no one. They're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the garage. Like you said, Tim's got to make some last-minute adjustments. So he's checking the hot rod with the boys. Mark wants to go for a ride. They can't do that. They have to check the engine. I mean, this car isn't even put together yet, and he's just like, let's just go for a ride. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, he committed to a race when the car was not I mean, it wasn't finished. Like he still had work to do. So
Race him, Jerry.
That was presumptuous. Yeah. Every time we watch a great race episode, I just wish we were watching that. I feel like.
Yeah, what a shame. So the car won't start, and Randy, continuing his antagonistic ways here, is just being sarcastic, rubbing it in. Tim is kind of...
he's reached the end. The end of the line. He has no patience. He's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Screw off, kid. I hate your guts.
At first, I thought he was taking it in stride, but he really turned pretty quickly.
I know, yeah, he gets really frustrated, yeah.
Yeah, he flips the switch here. Jill comes in, sends the boys up to bed.
And then it continues. She's like, he asked her to do something, and she's like, I don't know what that is. He's like, everybody knows what that is, Jill.
I'm gonna kill you.
I hate your guts.
Yeah,
we should have bigger boobs.
Jeez. And, he's upset. His engine won't be ready in time. So, can we blame him?
He's very, this is an episode, we see the many faces of Tim. That would have been a better title than what I came up with. But, like, at first, yeah, you see Tim, and he's, like, he's, like, sad. And then he becomes, in this, like, petulant and very angry. And then he's just kind of, well, I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah,
but,
please don't.
He handles it okay. He handles...
his faces change.
The impending loss, okay. But, yeah, this is... I don't know. When I watched it, I thought, is this good acting? And I don't know that it was from
It's
Tim.
better than Bob Vila.
Well, that is a low bar to clear, my friend. But yeah, I don't know. It's he's really acting out. That's all I got to say about that.
He's acting out. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
All right, so later in the garage, spent a lot of time in the garage in this episode, but Tim is working not with a mechanic that can help fix these issues, not with Al or even the meat man. It's Wilson. Wilson's there. It's the middle of the night still. This is all happening in the same night, basically. Luckily, Wilson was up feeding his bats. So
Wilson's nocturnal, so no surprise there.
No surprise.
I did kind of like this reveal. I thought it was sort of clever in terms of ways to cover up his face. He kind of slides out from underneath the hot rod, and it only the top part of his face is exposed. I thought it was kind of clever. I got a laugh out of it.
Yeah. Do you want to play a clip of the advice here?
I thought you'd never ask.
Got it. I got the... All right, starter's on. Now, if you just bolt it up.
Will do. Tim, hand me that 9/16 socket.
Really appreciate you coming over so late to help me out.
No problem, Tim. I was already up feeding my bats.
Here you go.
Thank you, neighbor Tim. A few turns of this ratchet and we'll have this starter problem fixed.
Wilson, I don't know how I got into this mess. It's taken me 3 years to get this rod perfect. And since I challenged Vila, I got a race and it's not even broken in yet.
Well, sounds like you didn't think before you challenged him.
Well, how would you like it if you were in an auction and some other neighbor behind a fence made $400 more than you?
Well, Tim, I'd be mighty hurt.
That's how I felt. I started doubting myself, I felt worthless.
Well, Tim, it's been said that when a foot compares itself to a yard, it always comes up short.
So you're saying that Vila's the yard, and I'm the foot, and he is better than me, right?
Well, only if you perceive him as being better. Okay. The philosopher once said, if you place a small value on yourself, rest assured the world will not raise your price.
But if I believe in myself, I could win this.
No, Tim. If you believe in yourself, you've already won.
This is what I would consider some kind of muddled advice, but I said that last week and you sort of disagreed with me. Maybe you will again. But he starts out by saying, like, this is the same case, like, when a foot compares itself to a yard, it always comes up short, which...
Yeah, the rest of the advice has nothing to do with this, really.
Which to me is very different than what ends up sort of coming out of this. But what Wilson is trying to say is that if you believe in yourself or you have faith in yourself, then you've already won. But the foot comparing itself to a yard thing is like, it would be the equivalent of like
you're not good enough.
A peasant comparing himself to a king or something, like you just don't stack up as well. But the advice is fine. It just starts out in a strange way.
Wilson likes to try the shotgun approach, and eventually, like, one of these things is going to make sense and be relevant.
In Wilson's defense, he has to give a lot of advice, and it is hard to come up with different things to say in situations that are roughly similar. I mean,
it's the middle of the night as well, so he was maybe a little sleepy, a little groggy. He's like, "Oh, what are we talking about?"
Feeding your bats does not take a lot of brain waves, essentially. So
no.
He probably wasn't mentally prepared for this. So
I don't blame him. Yeah, but like you said earlier, I do like how they're, he slides out from underneath the car, but not far enough so that you can see his full face, and they're hanging lights underneath the car, so all that kind of stuff.
I had no idea that Wilson was proficient in automobile. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he's a man of many talents, but he's never really mentioned it before.
No, well, he's humble.
Yeah, he's sitting in the humble seat.
Yeah, humble brag. All right, later in the morning, I guess it's 5:30 in the morning, so Tim's been up all night. And he wakes up Jill and the boys, and he's ready to take them on their first ride. And
but first...
Yeah, what happens?
But first, he's got to thank everyone individually.
Yeah.
Brad spent a lot of time with him working in the car, so if anything goes wrong, he's going to blame it on Brad.
Right.
For Mark, he just says thanks and nothing else.
That's really the best way to handle Mark, I would say.
Yeah. And then, thanks to Jill for, he spent more time with the car than her.
Mm-hmm. And
Randy, he's certainly his son.
Yeah. That was kind of funny. But this is it's a heartfelt moment. Randy kind of comes around. Everybody else
out of nowhere.
Well, yeah.
He's a jerk in front of everyone else, but when he's alone with his dad, he pulls back.
That is the nature of the young boy, I suppose. They all run up to get jackets because it's May and it's 5:30 in the morning, so presumably
it's chilly.
It's a convertible,
There's probably some frost outside.
Yeah. So they run up to get the coats, and Randy approaches his father, and Tim is kind of expecting more of the same. He's going to take some shots at him, but Randy's proud, and he has faith in his dad, and you know what? He even knows a little bit about cars.
Yeah, he knows what kind of engine's in there, the horsepower, and
then there's some father-son grunting, which, hey.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's about as good as it gets. You and your dad grunt a lot? only when you guys like wrestle and stuff, right?
Yeah, not as much as I'd like.
Yeah,
let's just say that.
That's too bad.
Oh, man. What about you? What about you and Papa?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of grunting, a lot of groaning, to be sure.
I can tell, when you used to grunt back in, the first couple episodes, it really paid off.
What did it sound like? It was like...
It was like Scooby-Doo questioning someone.
All right. Let's, Jordan, let's cut to the old airport off I-94, the old military one.
Yeah. I thought about going there just for this episode, to, see if there was any skid marks or anything.
Here's the thing I didn't remember, and, we both logged some time on I-94. I didn't remember there being mountains anywhere around it. I don't know if you caught the mountainous landscape in the backdrop.
Oh, I didn't, but that's amazing.
Yeah, they're not even trying, but what are they supposed to do, I guess?
It's a real Grease Lightning vibe going on in this scene.
It is a lot like the La Brea Tar Pits there. Yeah, I hadn't really considered that, but yeah. It's an interesting scene because there's the entire episode builds up to it, and then it lasts all of 20 seconds.
It's so anticlimactic. It's crazy.
I know, but we should.
But
there
is some. Yeah, there's some. Okay, so everyone's getting set up. The show is filming. I did notice that Bob Vila didn't even drive his car to the start line. It was like two random guys.
I don't know if we established this either, but so Tim has spent several years working on his car, whereas Vila paid to have his car made. So there's kind of that dynamic here.
He's the 1%.
Yeah, I'll say. Yeah, that's the foot in the yard metaphor. Am I right?
You're right.
I'm right, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, there's some trash talk here. It's very awkward.
It's a lot of, just looking at each other, and then...
Yeah, and then, they're firing up the engines, but like you said, some of that face acting is happening, where they're zooming in on Bob, and he's got this real scowl on his face.
I haven't seen this much face
I haven't seen
I haven't seen this much face in a long time. I haven't seen... The joke is ruined. Let's just move forward.
All right.
Forget it. I was going to say something about Face Off, which, is...
Oh, that would have been great.
It would have been, but what can you do? We try to keep this real, so we'll leave it in.
Real and satisfying.
A lot of face acting. Mountains in the background. Cool guitar riffs.
I didn't notice that either.
Did you have it on mute, Jordan? I mean,
I was so nervous that I couldn't watch it with the sound on.
It's like some very like stock kind of rock and roll music, just somebody really it's like that loud. Shredding away. And then the race starts, and the race is over before you know it. I guess they do say it's only a quarter mile, which...
Why? Why even race?
It's so short. Yeah, I mean, quarter mile, it's nothing. But Tim... anticlimactic is the right word. It's what I wrote in my notes, too. It's like the race starts, and they're kind of neck and neck. They cut to Al, and Al's like, wow, he's really keeping up with him. And then Vila, and then there's some slow motion, and Vila wins. I couldn't believe how fast it went. But
yeah, maybe all of 5 seconds. He wins by a hair. So back in the garage, we expect Tim to be upset. He lost again to Bob Vila. He's kind of wiping his tears away, but he's also wiping the hot rod down. And Jill comes in expecting just what we're expecting. But Tim's not really taking it that way. He's taking it all in stride, and his reasoning is he did not want the engine to blow up. It's the first time he's ever driven it. He wasn't even pushing the car to its full limits, and he was keeping up with Bob's car. So he thinks he could have beat him.
I guess I know we're supposed to believe this, but isn't it kind of easy to say that now? Bit of Malcolm Gladwell's revisionist history here.
You're always like the pessimist.
I'm just saying, like.
We were just talking about how much you hate the NBA, and I like the NBA, and it really came out with your pessimistic attitude.
I was just saying that there's no interesting storylines, and then you just told me all the storylines, and then you said that you like the NBA, so every storyline in the NBA is interesting to you. And I left out 20 at least. It's hard to argue with that. But, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, him, like, saying, like, well, I could have won if I would have pushed a little harder. I guess his reasoning is solid. Vila paid for his car. He doesn't have the sentimental attachment, whereas Tim spent 3 years working on his, which, kind of leads me to the question, why even suggest the race in the first place? Like, if you want...
His emotions got the best of him.
As they're wont to do. But yeah, he doesn't feel as bad because, he didn't... I guess he's trying to convince himself that he could have won, and maybe he believes that. Jill... That
really turns Jill on, though.
Oh my gosh, Jordan, she is so turned on. It's not even funny.
Let's get in the rumble seats.
They say, you want to make out the rumble seat? Jill says, cool. And then she spits out her gum, which is a play on, like, 1950s teenage girls, I guess? Is that what's happening? So. Okay. All right. Now, I know, Jordan, you've made out in your fair share of rumble seats, and we don't have to get into that. But,
we shouldn't.
Okay. All right, fine. But she spits out her gum, and the camera cuts down to the license plate, and it says...
2L
the
time.
number 2L time. I kind of like that. I don't know. I laughed.
Really wrapped it up in a bow for you.
It was a satisfying finale. Much like the rumble seat is probably going to be satisfying for Tim as well.
Oh man. All right, and then after that,
so the first time I watched, I thought the episode was done after this. But then this morning I kept going, and man, was I glad I kept watching.
It's basically a montage of all the hot rod footage that they've ever done. So
yeah, but including what happened in this episode.
Oh, I didn't watch all the way through.
Yeah, so like it's every. I mean, I don't know if it's every, but it's a lot of the hot rod footage from the first couple of seasons. But at the end, it ends with the footage we just saw in this episode, which I thought was an interesting choice. Seemed like they needed to pad out the episode, I guess. Why not make the race longer? They should have made the race longer or something.
Well, that airfield actually wasn't abandoned. They were actually still flying planes there. That was the problem.
Did you like how this scene opened with kind of a graphic that said the Taylor's Hot Rod Shop?
I mean, fine.
Did you did you like it? I thought it was really stupid.
It is stupid, but it's better than some logo flying at you with arms and legs and whatever else.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of. It's almost like it was the equivalent to like when a cast member leaves a show or like something like that. Like it's almost like not an in memoriam, but like like a montage of like the greatest moments.
Does that mean the hot rod's dead now?
I don't like. It did sort of feel like an in memoriam or like a final send off for the hot rod. I never felt a real distinct sense of attachment to the hot rod, but I know Tim did.
Well, we didn't. Thank goodness.
No. And that is we worked our way through this pretty quickly. That is the Great Race 2.
We didn't pad our episode like they did.
No, we didn't. We can insert a montage here of our commentary on the hot rod throughout. It would probably be a lot of like, I don't care about the hot rod. Tim's still working on the hot rod. Can't believe the hot rod's not done.
That means I would have to like search through all the episodes to find that content.
I'm sure we could get a listener to do that, Jordan. We have a very dedicated following.
It's true. Yeah. If anybody wants to do that, feel free.
I'm sure they do. We're able to so successfully solicit questions. Why wouldn't anybody want to do that? Jordan, highs and lows for The Great Race 2. Was it a great episode? Was it a great way to end season 3?
No. On both accounts, I would say. I mean, I didn't enjoy it very much. But I'll say highs. I mean, if you compare Tim's acting to Bob Vila's in this episode, especially his frustration, I think it's okay. The hot rod looked nice when it was all done. I suppose if you're, having a TV show and have some money in your budget, you're gonna make it look nice. But the scene where Randy tells his dad that he hopes he wins is nice, although confusing. I don't know why he does it necessarily, but it is nice to see. And they do the grunting, kind of like in the very, very, very first episode where Mark and Tim do some grunting, and it's always adorable. So lows, pretty much anything that Bob Vila is doing in this episode, his acting is really strange. His like aloofness and superiority does not come off at all well. If I have to hear the word fundraiser one more time, I might just burn these DVDs that I'm watching. I'm so sick of it. And we talked about this just a second ago. The race scene, what happened there? It was about a minute too short. So underwhelming and disappointing, especially when the whole episode is called The Great Race, So
yeah.
That's my thoughts. What are yours?
It's your story and you're sticking to it. I get the feeling that I maybe like this one a little bit more than you, and that is not to say that I thought it was great by any means. I'll focus on the highs. I thought that... I say I liked it more. What did I like about it? I guess even though
you like the idea of it.
I love the concept. It's so new and unique. No. I felt as I was watching it, I guess there were some good bits. There was a couple of good lines within there. I enjoyed, even though I just spent a bit of time kind of trying to poke holes in it, I did like Tim's reaction to losing the race as opposed to him just kind of being frustrated. I thought that the acceptance of like, I maybe could have won. I didn't. I lost. It's not that big of a deal. I guess I found that to be a somewhat more interesting turn than what typically happens. Is he's just kind of frustrated, or it's played off as a joke. And I think it's a fitting ending to the Bob Vila, series of episodes. So he's finally just kind of accepted the fact that Vila is going to best him at most things they try. I guess I thought that was a somewhat nice scene. I like the moment with Randy in the car earlier on when Randy kind of comforts his father, says he believes in him. They share in a father and son series of grunts. The auction scene, Jill's auctioning, was sort of funny. Played for a couple of laughs. Lows, yeah. I mean, Vila, we've said this before, or I think we said this the first appearance. I just, one of the bigger surprises for me in rewatching Home Improvement is just kind of how uninteresting the Bob Vila episodes are, and how wooden, I guess, for lack of a better term, the performance of Vila is. Like, these are just not fantastic episodes. I feel like they are episodes people often think of or think back of with fondness and sort of nostalgia. They're not especially good. The Vila performance in this one was probably his worst. He's, like you said, he's more cavalier, arrogant. He's doing a lot of facial acting. He ends up just kind of looking more constipated than not throughout. But yeah, I mean, we've seen this episode before. It was called The Great Race 1. The only difference here is that Tim is kind of accepting of it, and I think that makes it a little bit better than The Great Race 1. But yeah, I'm tired of seeing these episodes. I'm tired of Vila. I'm glad that the trilogy of Vila appearances has come to a close here.
It's true, and with that.
Oh, one more thing I liked. I liked the the guitar riff.
You are a glutton for guitar riffs.
That's what they call me.
That's your jam.
So certainly not going to be one of our favorite episodes of the season. Isn't that right, Jordan?
No, speaking of which.
Yeah, speaking of which, Jordan, should we cue the celebratory music that we're going to find and put in here?
Yeah, I guess we should.
Let's go ahead and cue that
Imaginary music.
Satisfying celebratory music that we're going to find and then later edit in. So let's play it.
That was beautiful.
That music really got me in the mood to talk about season 3, and we're gonna, and I can't tell you exactly how it got me in the mood because I'm not sure what the music was. But
Don't ask.
But I know that it was good, and I know it got me in the mood, and I'm fired up to talk about season 3. Season 3 in summation. Our first season, we did this as a separate episode. I don't think we need to do that anymore. So season 2, we added it on to the end, and season 3, here we are again talking about it. Season 3 in summation. What will we cover here, Jordan? What have we covered in the past?
We're going to basically cover everything, but mostly we're going to cover our favorite episodes, our least favorite episodes, some of the best guest stars that were on the show this season, something different that you suggested, and I thought it was just a wonderful idea, is the best episode titles and the worst episode titles. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that works out. Okay. And we'll see what else we have time for. If we just start, riffing like we riff, like those guitar riffs that you like so much, then that's what happens. But that's what's on the docket so far.
That is what's on the docket so far. Yeah, and then maybe we'll end with just some closing thoughts on season 3 as a whole. So season 3, and I said this at the beginning of the season, this is the most successful season of the show in terms of metrics via the Nielsen ratings. Number two on all of television. So worth mentioning as we talk about things in closing here. So
yeah, let's not get too metric centric though.
I don't want to turn into a home improvement nerd or anything, but
too late.
All right. Yeah. So man, I tell you what, I feel like we've been watching season 3 for
forever,
years. I don't even.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess a lot of that has to do with the break we took, but wow, this has been a long time coming. And I'm happy to be here. It's always good to be at the end of a season, Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a certain finality, but also like a hope in season 4.
A lot of great things happened this season. I mean, we got Debbie Dunning. We got 25 episodes as opposed to, well, I guess there was 25 last year as well. We got 25 great episodes. We got some great bits. We laughed. We cried. We wondered why we were doing the podcast. We had some great guest stars.
Maybe more of the wondering than we would have hoped.
There's always going to be those questions. But all right, Jordan, let's start with. I'll let you pick. What do you want to start with?
Let's do the best and worst episode titles.
Okay. All right. So I have.
We'll get warmed up that way.
I think so. I have 2 that I don't like and 1 that I like.
Yeah, I have 2 that I like and 3 that are very boring and I don't like. So
okay, I'll let you start. Tell me one that you didn't like.
One that I didn't like. We just covered it. It's The Great Race 2. Literally all they did was add,
2.
So not a lot of creativity there.
Okay,
and that's what I got.
Okay, all right. My first one that I didn't like was Crazy for You. So that's the Halloween episode. And
right.
I mean, I don't like it because it doesn't really relate to what happens. It's not necessarily a pun or anything. I want a Halloween episode to have like Halloween or something scary in the title. Whereas Crazy for You, when you hear that title, it doesn't. I'm not able to really connect the dots between that being the title and what happens in that episode. I think
when you just read that title and
it doesn't mean anything.
I you can't put it in its context.
Yeah, I could never connect it to this episode. An episode that we'll be talking about later on, a strong episode, but Crazy for You, I feel like they didn't have a title, and then last minute they're like, there's a stalker,
somebody goes crazy.
She's crazy, Crazy for You.
That's often how we come up with our titles as well. Yeah. So I can't blame them too much, but yeah, I can see that. It didn't make my list, but you know what did? 5th anniversary. So
I mean, that's the exact opposite of the problem with the last one. It's very representative of what happens in the episode.
Yeah, they cover the 5th anniversary of Tool Time, and that's what it's called. So lack of creativity abounds in that one.
All right, another one I didn't like is What you see is what you get. I don't like titles that are so long. Like, this isn't the longest title. And this is a stupid segment, so, like, you know, it's not gonna... I don't have a lot of analysis here. I just don't like it. What you see is what you get. I mean...
It's not one of your favorites.
I suppose it's apt in terms of what happens. Tim wants Jill to get surgery, but I don't know, I
didn't do it for you.
Jordan, it rubbed me the wrong way.
What you saw, you didn't want to get.
I saw it, I got it, I didn't like it.
All right. You know, you don't like long episode titles, but one of my favorite episode titles was It Was the Best of Tim's and It Was the Worst of Tim's.
One of my favorites as well. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
It's you know, it's a relatable pun. It's Tim's instead of time. We had some good alternative titles based on it, if I recall. And it's a very apt description of what happens. You get the good Tim, and when he is nice to all of the ladies at the baby shower, and then you get the bad Tim when he is farting and burping when Jill wants to get it on. So
yeah, but hey, when they get out at the end, oh man,
sparks fly.
Yeah, best cover those kids' eyes. One of my favorites of this season was "'Twas the Blight Before Christmas."
Good entry.
Simple, apt, clever. Enough said.
Yep. My other one that I liked, maybe not the episode, but the title I enjoyed was Dollars and Cents.
Okay.
Just a simple one, but, you know, instead of cents, you got common sense or something like that. So I thought it was adequate.
Last one for me, Feud for Thought.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say the same things I've been saying. Apt, clever, stellar. 10 out of 10, enough said. All right.
Much like that segment that we just did.
Apt, stellar, clever.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Hey, maybe this doesn't make it. Maybe that doesn't make it to season 4 in summation.
We'll see. We'll see. You know, we can probably frame this any way we want. We could say, you know, if we want it back, we could say, if no one says anything bad about it in the comments, then we'll keep it, and we could do the exact opposite.
In all honesty, the only bad feedback we've ever gotten was that 3-star review. So,
it burns.
Which essentially just means, like, I don't know, that probably just speaks to not having a ton of listeners, because there's probably more bad feedback to give, but hey, we haven't gotten it yet, so, you know, that's fine.
Let's give some bad feedback on this season as a whole.
Okay, all right. So are we doing, is that best and worst episodes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to start with bottom 3 worst?
Yeah, and these are in no particular order, correct? Because you do not want to rank these episodes.
I couldn't possibly.
You couldn't possibly. All right, so let me find my notes here. All right.
I have one if you want me to go first.
Yeah, go ahead, go first, yeah.
Arrivederci, Binford. If you recall, that is the episode where Mr. Binford he passes away. We find out that he is a much more influential man on Tim than we ever knew, and that's what really bothered me, because it kind of comes out of nowhere. You know, the idea of having this guy who's so important and started the show pass away, it ushers in a lot of changes that you could use later on, but we just don't see it coming, and it doesn't connect with us because we've never really heard of him before, besides the fact that he ran off with some young lady to get married. So yeah.
But yeah, it is funny. The previous installment of Binford was he left his wife and ran off with some young tool girl. But then the next time
that's all we know about him.
Every line in that episode is basically like, Tim, it's okay to cry. John Binford was one of the best men we ever knew. Like, that's how every sentence in that episode. He was one of the greatest people in Detroit, in the world. He was there. He gave us money for our first house. He helped birth Brad. It's just it's a laundry list of Binford achievements.
Damn salesman in the office.
He taught me how to raise a woman. No, wait, no. He taught me how to
love a woman and scold a child.
He taught me how to love a woman and scold a child. All right, that was I have 2 honorable mention worst episodes. That was one of my honorable mentions.
Great.
All right, my first worst one was Dollars and Cents.
I remember you did not like that one at all.
I did not like that one. This is the one where the kids get like a bond from, or they come into some money. I think it has to do with bonds from their grandma.
It's probably from John Binford.
He probably left them, great guy like John Binford. He probably left these 3 boys some money. Yeah, they are left some money, and she allows them the opportunity to spend it however they see fit. They elect to buy like baseball cards. They go to a baseball card shop. It's terrible. It's a stupid idea for an episode. The stuff inside the card shop, that guy, I can see his face, and it makes me want to just go vomit in the sink. There's a lot of bits about, like, he is trying to upsell them, telling him it's a hot item. Jill buys, like, a frying pan at the end. There is a subplot involving a bloody nutty buddy bar incident. It's bad.
Quite the subplot.
It is a slub plot. That is an accurate description. No, I just really didn't like this one. It's a case of trying to be funny and not succeeding.
Yeah, you never want to do that. That's often what we do.
It goes against sitcom 101. Yeah.
All right, so my next one that I did not enjoy was it actually made my worst episode titles as well, but it's 5th Anniversary. And if you recall, this one opens with great jokes like a PB and Grizzly sandwich.
Yeah.
But, the library fundraiser makes an appearance. Wes Davidson makes an appearance. It's, basically a clip show, highlight clip show, and it's not enjoyable at all. So
yeah, this was
writing.
This was one of my 3 as well. I echo many of the same sentiments. It has the man's kitchen, which is just like it's not nearly as fun as you suspect it's going to be.
Very impractical.
They cook that steak raw. You got Benny. Pre-Benny, he's getting basically washed along with the thing.
Murdered.
Yeah, he may very well die. Davidson comes in, and then in the end, they just basically roll out a TV and show the first ever episode. It is. There's a significant amount of buildup, and nothing really comes of it. It's dull and a lot of bad bits.
Yeah, it's not great. Not great, Bob. All right, my last one is actually 2 plus as many of this situation. So what I mean by that is blow up, what you see is what you get, or any episode where Tim turns into a complete bozo for no reason.
Right, okay. Right.
So, he starts acting like a selfish idiot out of nowhere. He wants Jill to get plastic surgery. He forgets about blowing up her picture for this gala or whatever they're at. Anything where he... it could be the farting and burping episode that we talked about earlier. All that kind of stuff. It's just not fun to watch. So
yeah, a little bit of a cheat there by choosing 3 episodes, but I chose blow.
I didn't do any honorable mentions,
so I'll focus on that. But yeah, that is the episode where Tim. It's another library fundraising thing. Go figure. And they need a picture of Jill, so he blows up her driver's license photo. That's really bad, and she gets mad about it, and that is really the whole episode.
It's a great plot.
I mean, that is if that's your A plot, you're in trouble. It's a bad photo. The only good thing is I think you got the Meat Man there, Meat Man full.
Yeah,
doing
Morton.
But and then also there's like Al takes the boys mini golfing and loses and is mad about it. It's a very, very uninteresting episode. Tim and Jill are fighting throughout. Tim is a bozo, as you said. Poor.
Bozo. All right. Is that all of the bottom?
That's it. Yeah.
All right. That's the bottom. Started from the bottom. Now we're here, which is the top.
Yeah. Let's be a little bit more positive. What do we like about this season, Jordan?
I liked the "'Twas the Blight Before Christmas."
Okay.
So we have the Christmas episode here. There's adorable singing, Mark included. You got the Brad sax blues and also his rebellious nature.
I forgot about that. He was just gonna go skiing, right? Like he packed his bag. He's ready to go.
He's ready to go. And then there is a touching moment where, he comes to church and the whole family's there. And
is that the first Leon?
It is the first Leon, which I also enjoyed.
First Leon. That is a good one. Yeah. I like that one. It didn't make mine, but that is a solid episode. Yeah, Brad is man. In the beginning of the season, Brad he seemed like he was headed for like some sort of a detention center, and then the end of the season, he's just a polite little boy. I guess that's aging, Jordan.
That's exactly what happened to us.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there was just a year there where it was like, well, jail or straighten his act up. But all right, so what will I select here? I will go with Swing Time as being one of my 3 favorites. That is one we watched pretty recently, 22nd episode of the season. So this is the episode where Tim he thinks he knows what to get Jill for Mother's Day. He wants to get her a hot tub, and then he finds out that she actually doesn't really want a hot tub. So he and in the process, he's given away the swing set to Lil Pete, and then he finds out he has to get it back. I like this one. It ends in a nice sentimental way. Tim takes the swing set. Tim takes the old play area and builds it into a swing set, and it's kind of sweet and sentimental. The scene wherein he brings Pete and Little Pete over, and Little Pete is there, and he's kind of gaming him because he has to get the play area back was funny. I thought that's the episode where Victoria Principal comes in, and she's the foreman named Les, and they do kind of a competition. The competition itself isn't great, but I thought she was a pretty good guest star, and yeah, just a satisfying episode for me.
I mean, the most satisfying part of the episode was the rant that you went on, or the tangent that you went on about who shot JR.
Yeah, that's probably why I like it as well. Yeah,
but yeah, it's a good episode. Didn't make my top 3, but worthy.
I like
worthy inclusion.
Solid.
My next one's gonna be Crazy for You, the one, the Halloween one that we talked about earlier. I do remember this one from when I was younger. It's creepy. Jill plays a prank on Tim. The whole gang's in on it, and Rose is just an obsessive fan. I thought it played well. I thought it was put together well by Jill, and a lot. Like, if that happened to me, I'd be creeped out. So
this, bad title, great episode. This is my favorite episode of the season, and much like you, I remember it from when I was young. It really is successful. It's a Halloween episode that is actually sort of scary, sort of unnerving. The final scene where Tim's at the party, they do a lot of close-up shots of his face. He goes upstairs. There is legitimate kind of mystery there. We don't really know what's happening. It's sort of creepy. It's sort of funny. I like plans coming together. This is a episode where
Obviously.
This is an episode where everybody's in on the plan seemingly except Tim. But yeah, it's just a really fun, good Halloween episode. Scary, funny, cool.
Absolutely. Couldn't be cooler.
Cool. All right, last one, Jordan.
Last one, and all I'm gonna say is Isaiah Thomas Karn.
Yeah, me too. Same here. Yeah.
So I'll see you in my dreams.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one. I don't even really remember what happens. Besides, Al wants to get married to Eileen on the first date, which is kind of a funny concept. Like, Al not knowing how to date women is usually pretty good. But the ending of that episode with the unexpected Isaiah Thomas appearance, where he writes a letter to, who was it, Mark?
Yeah.
And his mom is there, and it's something about corn. I don't know. It was probably my favorite part of the whole season.
Isaiah, corn's ready. Sorry, Mom, I just got to finish writing a letter to this kid. This was my final top 3 episode of the season. Much like you, I don't really remember anything besides the final scene with the corn and Isaiah, and just being so surprised that Isaiah showed up. So the episode itself is probably just okay. But that is the greatest scene of this season, when Isaiah actually, because the joke is Randy and Brad they're writing a fake letter to Mark pretending to be Isaiah Thomas, which is very mean, but they mention something about how he likes corn, and then the big twist at the end of the episode, M. Night Shyamalan-esque, is that Isaiah Thomas does actually like corn.
So man, he likes it so much that Mom has to call him for dinner.
It's fantastic, yeah. So
it's amazing.
Honorable mention, another one I had was I liked the Colonel episode as well. That almost made my top 3.
That leads me into the next section, which is top guest stars.
All right, let's do it. I suspect we'll have similar guest stars, but
for sure.
Yeah.
Because when I was thinking through, I only found 2 that I liked, and I couldn't come up with a third one.
Okay.
But
all right.
Number 1, you just mentioned the Colonel, M. Emmett Walsh. Just plays a really good role here.
Oh, hey, Taylor. Oh, is that what you think, Taylor?
He's got a Columbo-esque trench coat on at some points.
Okay, Taylor, sure. Whatever you say. Where are my grandkids? All right, I'm done.
I don't know if you are. It's going to pop out at some point. I'm fairly certain. But despite your impression of him, I thought he was pretty good. as the grandfather to the Taylor boys.
We've been hearing a lot about the Colonel for like 2 seasons, and to see him finally come and
boy, he delivers.
Yeah, he
delivers everything.
Yeah, and Emmett Walsh is a good actor, and it's well cast, and that is and as I mentioned, I like that episode as well. So like, yeah, it's a solid performance. He will be back, and
I like when he tells the story about
shrapnel
General Patton. Yeah, and General Patton. Yeah. It's always good.
Yeah.
Mark. Yeah. And Mark makes that joke about the only general that he knows is GM.
Oh yeah, General Motors. Yeah. It's like what?
So what's your one of your favorite guest stars?
Well, it's got to be the Meat Man.
Morton Meats.
The Meat Man. Joe Morton. He comes in. I think his first episode is a so-so evening. He comes in. He's pretty annoying.
Pretty annoying.
I mean, he's the most annoying person that Tim has probably ever encountered. I don't really know why. Like, it's just like he's funny. I guess he's just like a good actor playing a kind of funny, annoying role, and he kind of can't help himself. And he comes back.
He spices it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think he comes back only once more this season, maybe two appearances. But yeah, that first episode is his best one. I guess he's also in Blow Up. I guess we just said that. But he comes in and he really annoys Tim, and he kind of messes with the car. He talks about meats a lot. His wife is good. She's no meat man though.
No, she's not. I don't mind her though. You know, she's
certainly not bad.
No, she just lost her Brooklyn locket.
Yeah, I lost my locket. Hey, doll, Brad didn't give you that locket. So Robert Picardo, who I've been trying to get on the podcast. You know, he's really famous. I didn't know this when we started. He's famous for a Star Trek 90s iteration. So he probably doesn't want to come on our podcast and talk about his 2 appearances on Home Improvement. But I'd love to have him.
We can talk.
I'm trying.
Star Trek.
I have to watch it, but yeah.
Oh, man. What a shame.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, we mentioned Isaiah Thomas already. That was my other one, and he's amazing. And I don't need to say more.
Okay, yeah, my last one, and I'm not saying that this is a great appearance, but whenever a former U.S. president comes on Home Improvement, I think he deserves some sort of mention in terms of top guest stars. So, yeah, my last one is the peanut farmer and former President Jimmy Carter. That episode is Eve of Construction, which is probably the most disappointing episode of the season.
It's got top billing everywhere, but
there's a lot of great guest stars in it, and it's very underwhelming. But Jimmy Carter coming in at the end, it was not, for whatever reason, it wasn't quite as exciting as when Isaiah Thomas came on, even though like it is seemingly.
I think you were already primed with all those guest stars, so like another famous person wasn't as much of a shock.
It was kind of like just one more person. But yeah, Jimmy Carter coming in, just really surprising. I guess that speaks to Home Improvement really having been a popular show at the time and sort of its cultural impact. But yeah, I mean, you got to give Jimmy Carter his props for sure. And then honorable mention, Drake Bell as Lil Pete.
Yeah, he does. He's not there very long, but he does his role well.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I mean, I think, and that's all. We don't do worse guest stars.
No, that would be kind of mean.
I mean, if Karen was still around, I think she'd probably be like indoctrinated.
I was listening to last year's season in summation, and you were so happy that she was gone.
I'm continually trying to get people on the show for interviews and whatnot, and I was trying to consider, like, all right, who's been on Home Improvement more than a couple episodes, and I came across Betsy Randall, who played Karen, and then I thought, like, if she's ever listened to an episode of this show, there's, like, if she would never want to come on because I have been cruel to the performance, I would say. Like, it would be a tough sell for her to come on the show after my, I would say our treatment, but I'll take the bulk of the responsibility. So I elected not to reach out to her representatives to get her on. But yeah,
she might shut this pod down.
She might. I mean, yeah, we are not Karen friendly on this podcast. Although I would say that's on the writers. You know, like she's.
I mean, she's obviously a decent actress. You know, she played all those episodes of Boy Meets World and all that kind
Jordan,
of stuff.
Hey, Karen, if you're out there, you are better than decent, baby. I'll tell you that
much. You're really trying to make amends, aren't you?
But yeah, I mean, we had talked about MVP and LVP of the season. I kind of sprung it on you, Jordan. Is that something you're interested in doing?
My LVP is Debbie Dunning.
Okay.
Not really her fault, but like they don't know what to do with her.
Yeah.
And so really they just have her introduce the show. and half the time sounds like she's confused about it. So, I just remember her being much bigger part of the show, and I'm sure she will be later on. But for this season, just doesn't do a lot.
Yeah. Okay. All right. My LVP is Mark Taylor.
I knew that was coming.
Because much like Debbie Dunning, they tried near the end of the season to give him some things to do, to give him minor victories. He beat his brothers in Game Boy, and then he did the science fair project. But and I joke a lot about the performance, but the performance is fine. He's just a kid acting. But most of what Mark does in the show is go up to his bedroom. That is Mark's big direction. I feel like he would just show up on set. They'd be like, "All right, Mark, in this scene, you're going to go up to your bedroom." That is the bulk of what he does. So, in the coming years, I'm looking forward to maybe some more Mark-centric plot. Maybe we'll see Mark with a friend. Maybe Mark will, have more minor victories. Maybe Mark will have interests. I don't know, but I need Mark to step it up next year.
Okay. I'm going to say my MVP is a man who doesn't get enough attention, and that's Wilson.
Okay.
So, he's always listening to Tim, and this season, I think Brad and Randy and Jill and maybe Al as well, trying to help them with things. But also, if you remember in the Real Men episode, he just saves Tim and from falling in the ice and basically dying of hypothermia by coming up there for him. So, I don't think he gets enough, appreciation from the Taylor family, possibly. Waking him up in the middle of the night or having him over in the middle of the night to fix hot rods and such. So I just wanted to let him know I appreciate him.
Okay. All right. Yeah. My MVP this year, Jordan, and this may surprise you, but it's Jill.
Really?
Yeah. We've been joking a lot about the fundraising. It maybe wasn't that interesting to hear about, but this has been a big season for Jill. She is working full-time at the magazine. We have seen her less in the kitchen, doing laundry, cooking, cleaning. There's still a lot of that, but less. They have kind of figured out how to write for her. There were a couple instances early on the season where maybe she was irrational or the character was written irrationally, but much less than season 1 and season 2. Often Tim will come across as being kind of a buffoon, but in this season I felt like Jill was just a better written character, well-grounded. Her jokes were better. She had more things to do. She has her own subplots. She made the biggest jump this season in terms of a character, I would say. So for that reason, Jill's my MVP.
Fine. Worthy addition. Yeah, I will agree the jokes for her have been way better.
It's just I feel like they just figured the character out a bit more. Or she's coming into her own. She has more things to do. It's less stereotypical. Not talking about the episode.
Are you talking about that episode?
Not talking about the episode. Than it was season 1, season 2. So.
All right. I can dig it.
Turn up. All right, Jordan. Season 3 in summation. We're done. Final thoughts on season 3?
It.
What do you think? Final closing thoughts.
Boy.
How does it stack up? Do you remember the other seasons?
I don't remember the first couple that much. I guess I think we hated season 2 and we enjoyed season 1 much more. Yeah. This season, man, I don't know. Towards the end of it, it just seemed like there was a lot of not very interesting episodes. So it kind of shocks me that this was their best season metric-wise.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I should be terrified going forward or not, but we'll see. We'll see what season 4 holds.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would say, I think definitely season 2 was quite weak. We did not enjoy season 2. This is closer to season 1. The first, I would say, almost the first close to 10 episodes we really liked. So I think it's hard because it's been so long now since we've talked about those. But the season started off with a real bang. And as is probably going to be the case with these episodes, once you get to episode 15, 16, 17 out of 25, they just have less to say, less going on, and are kind of less interesting. But yeah, it's a good season, good guest stars, some funny episodes, great Christmas, Halloween episodes. That'll continue. And next season, I'm looking forward to it. The ratings for next season, season 4, didn't drop a ton, so we'll assume that the quality's still there. We're going to get Dave Chappelle. We're going to get.
Don't tell me too much. I don't want to know.
I'll just tell you. We're going to get Jay Leno.
Oh no!
I'll just say 2 titans of comedy, Dave Chappelle and Jay Leno, are going to be appearing in season 4, and I will save the rest for our season 4 premiere that is to come.
Wow, that's amazing. So next episode is going to be back in the saddle shoes again.
Okay, all right, great.
So I think you sang that song before, but also something that our listeners will notice is different in season 4 is we're gonna have some new intro and outro music. Mm-hmm. So we've got something different going on, trying to spice it up a little bit, and you'll hear that next episode.
Just adding a little paprika to the podcast, huh?
I love paprika.
All right, Jordan, thank you for joining me. Thank you everyone for listening through 3 seasons. We are excited to start season 4. I have nothing else to say. Jordan, do you have anything else to say?
Just take care, everybody.
Jordan, thank you for joining me. Take care.